Multiplication in base 5, one of my favorites. So with this you have 3 marks and you expect this in paper 2. So let's quickly solve these 3 problems and then you can solve the remaining 5. Okay, so the first one is we have 3, 1 being multiplied by 11. So this one is easy. Easy in that in base 5 we only have numbers from 0 to 4. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Anything outside this is not in base 5. So if you get any number greater than these numbers, then you have to divide it by 5 and get the remainder. So let's multiply these. So you can say 1 multiplied by 1. These are in base 5, by the way. This is still a 1. Because we have the 1 there, you can write to 1. 1 multiplied by 3. We have the 3 in base 5, so you can write your 3. This multiplied by that, you have the 1. Of course, you need your placeholder there. Then 1 by 3, you have another 3. And then you can add this plus this, you have the 1. This plus this, you have the 4. Since a 4 is in base 5, you can still write it. Then 3 plus nothing, you have a 3. And you're done. Just like this. Let's try the second example, which is a bit more challenging. So on the second example, we have 432 being multiplied by 23. So to multiply these two numbers, you can say this multiplied by this, you have a 6. As you can see in base 5, we don't have a 6. So you can just divide that 6 by 5 because we're in base 5, so you divide by 5. So 5 into 6, you have a 1 and a 1. So it's a 1, remainder 1. So what you do here is you write the remainder. This is the remainder. And then you can carry this digit over to the next number. The way we multiply numbers in base 10. So now you can say 3 multiplied by 3, this is a 10, but remember this one. So 3 multiplied by 3, you have a 9, plus 1, you have a 10. So because we don't have a 10 in base 5, you can divide that 5 by, you can divide that 10 by 5. So that 5 into 10, you have 2, remainder 0. You write the remainder down. Your remainder is 0. You write it down. Then you carry this 2 over to the next digit. And then again you multiply. 3 multiplied by 4, you have a 12. And then 12 plus the 2 you have carried over. So you have 12 plus 2, that's a 14. We don't have a 14 in base 5. So you divide 14 by 5. So 5 into 14, this is 2, remainder 4. So you can write down the remainder, which is a 4, and then carry this 2 over to the next digit. But because we don't have any more numbers to multiply by, you can just write this 2 here. Someone suggested you put a 0 there and say 3 multiplied by 0, you get a 0, and then plus 2, you have a 2. It's the same thing, but the moment you put a 0 there, you have just wasted a few seconds of your exam time. But if this helps, then you can go ahead and use it. And then next we do the same thing with a 2, but before you do that, remember to put a 0 there, which is your placeholder. And then 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. Because we have a 4 in base 5, you can write your 4 here. And then 2 multiplied by 3, you have a 6. And we don't have a 6 there, so you can divide the 6 by 5. We did that here, so you don't need to do it again. So 6 divided by 5 is 1, remainder 1. So you can write 1 and then carry 1 to the next digit. So I'll write this one here, and then I'll carry the remainder to the next digit, like so. And then you can say 2 multiplied by 4, we have an 8 plus 1, that's a 9. So because we don't have a 9 in base 5, you can say 9 divided by 5, this is 1, remainder 4. Yeah, so you write the remainder, which is 4, and then you carry this one over to the next digit. But because you don't have anything here, you can write the one down there like that. And then now you can add. Addition is carried out in the same way. You get any of these numbers, you write it down. If you get a number which is outside this set, then you have to divide it by 5. So 1 plus 0, you have a 1. 4 plus 0, you have a 4. Then 1 plus 4, you have a 5. But because we do not have a 5 in base 5, you can divide that 5 by 5. So this will be 1, remainder 0. So you write the remainder, which is 0, and then you can carry this one over to the next digit like that. Then you can say 2 plus 4, you have a 6. 6 plus 1, that's a 7. As you can see, we don't have a 7 in base 5, so you can divide the 7 by 5. So 5 into 7, that's 1, remainder 2. So you write the remainder down, which is a 2, and then carry this one over to the next digit. So 1 plus 1 here, you have a 2, and this is your answer for the second example. In the third example, we have 144 being multiplied by 13 in base 5. Of course, you have to indicate the bases. Like that. And then now we can multiply these numbers as well. So you can say 3 multiplied by 4 using the same procedure. Remember, you only have numbers less than 5 in base 5. So 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. So instead of writing 12, you can divide 12 by 5. So 5 into 12, you have 2, remainder 2. So you write the remainder down, and then you carry this 2, which is the quotient, over to the next digit, like so. And then 3 multiplied by 4, you have a 12. And then 12 plus 2, you have a 14. So 14 divided by 5. Remember, you don't have a 14 in base 5, so you have to divide the 14 by 5. So this into 14, this will be 2, remainder 4. So you write down the 4 and carry this quotient, which is the 2, over to the next digit. So you write your 2 there, and then you can say 3 multiplied by 1, that's a 3, and then plus 2, you have a 5. Because we do not have a 5 in base 5, you have to divide your 5 by 5. So because we have done it here, you don't need to do it again unless you want to. So 5 into 5 is 1, remainder 1. 1 remainder 0. So you write your 0, which is the remainder, then you carry this one over to the next digit. And because we do not have any other number to multiply by 3 to add to that one, so you can just write this one down like this. In other words, at the end, after you multiply this by this and then you have a 5, then you are getting 1 remainder 0. Just write these numbers in this order. like instead of writing 1 remainder 0, you can just write 1 and a 0, or 1 and a 0, the way we did even here. So next we multiply by 1. So 1 by 4, of course you need your placeholder. 1 by 4 you have a 4, 1 by 4 you have another 4, 1 by 1 you have a 1, and then you can add the numbers. So 2 plus 0 is 2, 4 plus 4 you have an 8. We do not have an 8 in base 5, so you divide your 8 by 5. So 5 into 8 is 1, remainder 3. So you write your remainder down, which is a 3, and then you carry this one over to the next digit or digits. So now you can say 4 plus 0, you have a 4, and then plus 1, that's a 5. We do not have a 5 in base 5, so you divide it by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, remainder 0. So you write the remainder down, that's a 0, and then carry the 1 over to the next digit. Then you can say 1 plus 1, that's a 2, plus this one you have just carried over, you have a 3. So that gives you 3032 in base 5. So now you can solve these 5 problems. So the first one, this was 2020, I just got this from some book. And then this was 2024 internal, 2024 external, and then this is 2023. Enjoy!